won't call it. He says, no, it's Ryan care. It's Trump care. Well, I have a name for it. It's I don't care. Because the Republican leadership doesn't give a about people who are suffering. Those Republican leaders and President Trump don't give a about the people they were trying to hurt. They call it a skinny budget. I call it a budget. They call it a skinny budget. I call it a budget. Carlos Curbelo, where are you? Because Carlos, this is what he did. He voted Trump's half-baked health care plan out of the committee. And what did he say? No one will lose coverage. That's bullshit, my friends.
I think Democrats should be denouncing his behavior this weekend. To say that Republicans don't give a blank about people, that should not be rhetoric that the head of the Democrat Party should be using. And he keeps talking about resist and not working with the president.
I'm always amused that, Republicans feign indignation when they hear the word out of Tom Perez, and they observe, what Donald Trump has been saying for decades. I mean, my goodness.
Hello, the living room of renowned theatrical director Roger Debris' elegant Upper East Side townhouse on a sunny Tuesday afternoon in June. Who may I say is calling? Listen, you broken down old queen. He was drunk. He was hot. You got lucky. Don't ever call here again.
Who was that?
Wrong number.
You are listening to 104.1 KQTH, Tucson's News and Talk. I am the beautiful man. The sexy sidekick is close at hand. Mr. Charles in charge. Taking your calls at 751-1041. Yes, my friends, this is Don't Ask, Don't Tell Tuesday, brought to you by our sponsor, Adult Expectations. Pop, go to Weasel. Pop, go to Weasel, because the Weasel say pop. This is the day when we unleash DJ Boss Ross, who plays some of the baddest gay bump music in all of Tucson. I'm coming out. I want the world to know. Got to let it show. I'm coming. I'm coming out. I want the world to know. Got to let it show. I'm coming. Got a red hot show for you today. We got the Sweet Spot with Honeycutt. A couple of local issues here. We got to touch base with the lovely Stephanie Dunlap for the Hollywood Get Down in the 5 o'clock hour. We want to throw some love over to DJ Boss Ross. Ross is back in studio after his debut run as filling in for the honeymooning Zach Clark over at ESPN.
It was a good day yesterday. I was able to do the show. I want to send a shout out to Zach Clark, producer Stacy over there, and everybody else. And quite frankly, it was just an all around great day, and I felt like $1 million.
Yes,
and now I'm back here. I'm just kidding.
You sounded like $1 million.
Well, thank you.
Now you're broke as hell. Now you're back in the circus and you're broke as hell.
Just kidding. I love being back.
Video is up on your Facebook page. We're going to be make sure that you're going to be able to download the podcast as well in the upcoming days. But this is something that Ross has been working for years. And when I got a chance to go over and listen to it, it sounded very, very good.
Well, thank you, sir.
We're glad to have you back, though. We're going to talk about the border today. We're going to talk about the news that's just breaking that another judge has stepped up and put a stay on the sanctuary city. President Obama's trying to find sanctuary cities who are not cooperating. A judge has blocked that funding order. We're going to talk about that, but I want to start the show off with this. Earlier today, I posted my latest rant. It's called the War on Words. Word wars. And how conservatives and Republicans, really, supporters, we're getting rolled. We are not willing to fight fire with fire. We are not learning the lessons from Trump. we're thinking, I think, in a dangerous way. We're thinking that all of this angst that we're seeing from the left is just going to dissipate, that it's going to go away. We think that college students are going to go back to being, students and studying. We think that the college disruptions, that cooler heads will prevail. I'm here to tell you that that's not the case. I'm here to tell you that we are our First Amendment rights are under attack. I am here to tell you that conservative voices are under attack. You heard me talking about this last week. I have to say that a lot of times I believe that the national cats, they listen to the circus and, and do the show prep. I think that because we were talking about this last week, but I am seeing that it is ramping up. And yesterday, something extraordinary happened, and I didn't find out about it until like about an hour or two ago. I was checking some of my messages, my posts, and people were like, James, you got to check out Sean Hannity, his opening monologue from his TV show last night. And I did. And I had heard that Sean Hannity there was a woman accusing him of sexual harassment, of inviting her. She's accused Sean Hannity of inviting her up to his hotel room. Now, anybody who follows Sean Hannity in his family life, it's just please. But there is a connection to this story because that interview that was conducted where the woman said that was from one of our fellow talkers, Pat Campbell, out of Tulsa, Oklahoma. I filled in for Pat a couple of times. I think he's filled in for me when I was in Wisconsin. We still keep in contact with each other. Last night, I'm like, dude, hell of an interview. It's created a firestorm. But last night, Sean Hannity pushed back. And he pushed back in a way that he was warning his audience of what was to come. For years, he would just ignore the attacks. And that's what I was taught to do. I was taught to ignore. When I first hit the national scene back in 2008 with my McCain moment, and the Obama supporters found out what I was all about, and the hate mail and the death threats started flowing in, I was told to ignore it. And I did at first. Well, actually, that's not true. I didn't ignore it, and that's what ended up leading to my infamous CNN walk-off, the first walk-off of a live interview on CNN, I think anywhere. But then from that point on, I decided, if I just ignore this, I did ignore it for a while, and they ended up destroying my speaking business. Professional speaker, they got a hold of my client list. The Obama supporters lied about me, impugned my name, and just literally within 2 weeks, some of my events were canceled. Bureaus wouldn't take me. The one event that I did get out to, I got out there, they tried to cancel it before I got there. But once I was there, they agreed to go ahead. We talked about it, and as long as I didn't do politics, which I didn't do in the first place. But even after I did the event and it was very successful, the politics came back because we were so polar. And again, the Obama supporters wreaked havoc. So I didn't fight back, and I ended up losing a lot. But right after, I'd say 2010, around the time the Tea Party started to kick up, I decided I wasn't going to fight. I wasn't going to ignore things anymore. So when people emailed me, when people got onto my sites, we started fighting fire with fire. I'd go toe to toe. I didn't have to get as nasty as they did. And there was a 2 or 3% of the time I actually won some people over. But most of the time, no, did not. But they also knew that I wasn't a punk and I wasn't having it because I was capable of going where they go. Oh, James, you have to fly above this. James, you're not, this is not who you are. Yeah, actually it is. Same thing happened when I moved to Tucson. Of course, John Justice was here at the time, and his advice was to ignore these things. We're bigger than this, and I bristled at this, but I respected John. He built the station. He built something here, and I didn't want to be part of anything that was going to tear away at that. But the moment John left and took his job in Minneapolis, things changed. And I made a couple of telephone calls to some people who were antagonizing me, this show, guests on my show. And I laid down what are a couple of options? We could go to war. Or you could call off your dogs. Here's what I'm saying. I've been not flying above it all. I haven't been ignoring anything. You all don't know about it because I just don't really talk about it. But my detractors on both sides of the aisle, quite frankly, know that if they start some, there's going to be some. And I think for that reason, for the last couple of years, we haven't had a whole lot because they don't want to play like that, especially in this town. They just don't, Nationally, now conservatives are starting to take that track as well. Why? Because there is a concerted effort out to destroy conservative voices in the media. Those of us who have been operating on Facebook and social media, we've been well aware of this for a long time. But the left has successfully scalped a few big players. And now there's blood in the water, and they're coming after it. Sean Hannity last night on his on his TV show said he's not having it. He's not playing it. Hannity, welcome. Water's warm. When we come back, I'm going to play the back end of his commentary. The front end of the commentary was dealing with this woman who was, making these accusations, and he took her to town. He's putting together a huge group of lawyers. He said some of the best lawyers in the country. And he's going to start fighting back each accusation, each lie that's dropped. He's going after him. I said, good for him. The back part of his commentary last night, his monologue, is what I want to share with you when we come back, because to his credit, he is now letting his audience, he's letting his detractors know that there's no more Mr. Nice Guy. There's no more I'm above it. No, this is a battle for our First Amendment rights, a battle for our constitutional liberties that are under attack. You're listening to 104.1 KQTH Tucson's News and Talk.
Please don't give in. I will let you down. It messed me up. Need a second to breathe. Shake that thing! Party deep, need a party deep. Party deep, need a party deep. Party deep, need a party deep. Shake that thing, shake that thing. That ain't bad.
You're listening to 104.1 KQTH. Tucson's News and Talk. Sean Hannity on his TV show laid down the gauntlet. I think that this is a call to arms, not just for conservative talkers, but for Americans, especially liberty-loving Americans. We're seeing the fascists manifest themselves at their very worst on college campuses. But if you think it's going to be contained there, you're wrong. We've already seen fascists at work trying to force states to change their legislation when it comes to bathroom laws, gender wars. The left is flailing, and unfortunately, there is blood in the water because conservatives don't know how to play the game. They've never read Saul Alinsky. They're not willing to use those tactics, and because of that, this monster has grown to the point where, wow, we have kids dressed up as anarchists running around creating havoc on college campuses, attacking people because nobody bothered to spank them. Sean Hannity last night on his TV show.
I want you to know, my audience, to understand the importance of what is happening here. This is not about Sean Hannity. This is not about one person. There's now a coordinated attempt to silence the voice of every outspoken conservative in this country. If we don't stop it right now, there won't be any conservative voices on radio and television left. Now, I'm not the only one that these liberal fascists routinely target. Like me, conservatives are monitored on radio and TV, every word they say. And contrary to the alt-radical left stated position, they're so open-minded liberals. Not true. Liberal fascism is alive and well in America today. Their goal is simple. They want to shut up, shut down, completely silence all conservative voices by any means necessary. Here's the difference. Unlike the left, I don't have any problem with what the other side says. If you want to listen to liberals on radio or TV, read their articles, follow them on social media, go for it. Now, I'll call them out for their bias. I'll explain why they're wrong. I'll debate them, but I'll never, ever say they should be silenced. And I won't support boycotts to attack their advertisers, a roundabout way of silencing them. So let me be clear tonight. Everyone who has publicly supported President Trump is a target. This is very political.
Yes.
We have seen repeatedly that the left knows no limits in these efforts. They have gone after and attacked the First Lady. They have attacked members of the president's family, every White House advisor. They've even attacked his daughter and his 10-year-old son. Now, ultimately, their goal is to cause as much collateral damage as they can to anybody that supports the president. They have tried to undermine the outcome of this election since November 9th. Please know, this isn't about me. This is about the left concocting boycotts, all in an attempt to silence prominent conservative voices. If we don't take a stand now, if we allow this to happen now, I am telling you, America as we know it, freedom of speech as we know it, is over. Let's stop the boycotts. Let's stop silencing opposition voices. Let all Americans make their own decision.
He's absolutely correct about that. And they'll start with the prominent voices. And then they'll work themselves down. As a matter of fact, I got to be honest with you. It's not a matter of, we'll get the prominence first. They're going after everybody. We were feeling the pressure down here as well. And unfortunately, we were not paying attention because this just didn't come out of nowhere. This has been part of the plan ever since Barack Obama showed up. Barack Obama, community organizing, Saul Alinsky, has been the plan.
If you want the next 4 years looking like the last 8, then I'm not your candidate. But if you want real change, if you want an economy that rewards work, and that works not just for Wall Street, but also for Main Street. If you want tax relief for the middle class and millions of new jobs, if you want health care you can afford and education so that your kids can compete, then Elko, I need you. I need you to go out and talk to your friends and talk to your neighbors. I want you to talk to them whether they're independent or whether they are Republican. I want you to argue with them and get in their face. And if they tell you that, well, we're not sure where he stands on guns, I want you to say he believes in the Second Amendment. If they tell you, well, he's going to raise your taxes, you say, no, he's not, he's going to lower them.
See, I won't even get to the politics of this, of the lies of it. It's the language, it's the rhetoric that was used. And then later on, he was talking about you don't bring a knife to a gunfight. He called Republicans his enemies. His rhetoric has even led to the shooting of police officers, assassinations. This was the most violent, corrupting influence America has ever seen pouring out of the White House, and it continues. We saw it during the campaign. We saw it with the organizers for Hillary Clinton. We saw the fights that were started at Trump rallies and how the media fell in line to blame Trump supporters. We watched Trump supporters get beat up. It was naive to think that once the elections were over, that this would stop. No, it's ramping up. Why? Because they lost. And they can't handle losing. They don't believe, my friends, in the peaceful transition of power. They just believe in power. And now we're seeing they're going after the very voices that made Donald Trump possible. They're going after the very network, and they're going after talk radio. They're going after conservatives who are visible. If you shrink back in fear, your voice will be silenced. You are listening to 104.1 KQTH Tucson's News and Talk. We'll get to some of your calls on the other side.
Don't want nobody else to ever love me. You are my shining star, my guiding light, my love fantasy. There's not a minute, hour, day, or night that I don't love you. You're at the top of my list, cause I'm always thinking.
You go crazy for Luther every time.
Well, you played Luther to settle
Every
me
time.
down. I don't know why you do that.
How I spend my day dreaming, planning.
We have another federal judge that has blocked Trump's sanctuary funding order. We're going to talk about that in 3:05, my friends. But first, Dr. Nicholas has been hanging on the line. And Dr. Nicholas, welcome to 104.1 KQTH.
Oh, thank you, James T. I agree with everything that Sean Hannity said, but I think the bus left the station years ago. The stuff they've been doing on college campuses to silence anyone who says anything that might offend them, and the crazy things they've been saying for decades. I mean, it's nothing new. We already lost Bill O'Reilly.
Yeah,
I mean, and I'm not, love or hate Bill O'Reilly, and whether or not he abused these women or not, okay, he has a right to have a show and express his opinion. That should have. I mean, Bill Clinton got to stay president when he did something similar.
This is the point that I'm talking about, Dr. Nicholas. You're right when you say that the bus has left the station, but there's something different about what we're seeing on college campuses.
It's definitely different. I agree, but the point is that it's been slowly building, and now it's to the point where they'll take anybody on, and the media has become the thought police.
The media has become we're watching fascism.
Watching Orwell play out.
That's exactly
fascism.
what it is.
And the media has decided that if they don't agree with you, they can say anything about you. They can lie about you. They can make up stories. They can exaggerate. They can take what you say out of context and play a little clip.
I'll give you another example. You're talking about the media against the individual. There used to be a time where the media would not go against the media. They respected each other. In the last, I'd say, 5 or 6 months, you've seen like your CNN, you've seen MSNBC doing stories chastising Fox for doing stories that were either positive towards Trump or negative towards Obama. That's something that's new as well. I think this is part of the reason why you've seen the Murdoch boys who are lefties freak out over the negative press that Fox was getting in the New York Times. You're seeing other media outlets, so-called media outlets, arms of the state, chastising, tearing down the one voice among them that speaks for the opposition.
It's insane. And the other you talk about, and we talked about this once before, it's not that the media doesn't respect the media. It's that the left doesn't respect anything. They don't respect life, clearly. They don't respect other people's opinions. They want you to respect them, but they give no respect in return. They've lost the sense of being a person who has beliefs and values, and also allows other people to hold beliefs and values.
That's been gone for a long time as well. What's changed is the mask has now fallen off so people can see exactly who they are. Thank you very much for the call. Let's go to Scott. Scott, you're next on the James T. Harris Show. Welcome.
Hey, James, just a couple things. The people are fighting back. Maybe not physically, but they are. They're starting to. And also, maybe we should make a definition between I guess you'd call the normal or mainstream left and the radical left, the socialist, communist, Trotskyite, Stalinists. The Stalinists are forcing the left to make a decision. Either you march off the cliff with them, or you pull back. And I think we're starting to see, I mean, it's going to get bad and it's going to get worse, but we're starting to see where the, like I said, the normal or mainstream left is starting to pull back, because when you can no longer...
Can you give me examples of that? I don't see that.
Well, I'll give you one guy, for example. I don't know if you've ever heard of Dave Rubin. He does the Rubin Report. He used to be on the Young Turks, and they're wacky lefts.
Right.
He finally came to the conclusion that it's no longer the liberal left; it's the illiberal left, and they're no longer progressives; they've become regressives. When you can and he's like, when I can no longer sit down with my friends and have a frank discussion about, A, B, or C, this issue or that issue, he says, they've lost it. They've gone crazy. And I think if it wasn't for the cover of the media, they would have been exposed far sooner than they are now. But it's getting out. The story is getting out. People are starting to fight back, press back, sometimes even literally fight back against what happened at Berkeley. There was an organized pro-free speech there, and they took it to Antifa, and they took it to all these. It's slow. It's a seed that's in its germination. But I do believe people are waking up, and I do believe people are starting to fight back because they're starting to realize, and again, this road is a long road, and we've taken this the first steps. But I do believe people are realizing how precious and how close. And like Reagan said, we are just one generation away from tyranny.
Well, Scott, I will take what you're seeing to heart. I do believe that we are seeing pushback in the streets, but as far as what's happening among Democrats, I don't see, especially with their leadership. I don't see anybody pulling away from the jackbooted. The leadership is now reflecting the radicalized base more than any adults trying to pull, save their party. Their party is gone.
Oh, yeah, and it's what it is. And I said that's what this, when I mean like the mainstream left, I'm talking about your rank and file Democrats, who a lot of them have been abandoned by the Democrats. Working class individuals, that was the biggest, demographic of
the reason why Trump won.
Exactly. They were kicked off the island. That gets noticed.
Okay.
And more and more people, I think, are noticed. It's not quiet. People keep their mouth shut. Why? Because you don't want to be labeled as.
Well, I think it's time for people to start opening their mouths, because this battle for liberty, this battle for your First Amendment rights, once they get that, the rest will start tumbling down.
Oh, yes. You have to stand up. If there's a time to be stand up and counted, we are starting to get into those
We
days.
are there now, my friend. Scott, thank you very much for the call. Let me go to Amy out in the great state of New Jersey. Amy, welcome to 104.1 KQTH.
Hi, James. I have so much to say to you today, but my opinion of Mr. Hannity's speech is that he didn't really get to he just talked about the symptoms of the problems and what's going on in the media. We have to get to what the disease is, and the disease is the Soros groups that are funding all of this. And he did not mention that. He needs to go after that, and I'm very disappointed in the president that he has not gone after that. Jeff Sessions needed to have gone after Hillary and Obama and Soros, because that is the root cause.
I think that speaks.
Get rid of these people. If we don't get rid of these people and get rid of the cancer in our country, this is not going to happen.
To your point, Amy.
People have to listen. We have to stand up.
To your point. What this has done, the fact that they're still operating, the fact that Trump did not go after Hillary, to the fact that Jeff Sessions has not even mentioned George Soros' name, speaks to the power of the establishment.
Well, let me tell you, we all have to get out there. I don't care how busy we are. I was at the media protest at New York Times on Saturday. They were protesting, and we were going after what we call the New York slimes. We need to get out there and go against that.
I'm not going to discourage anything, because what we are seeing, from the left, like you said, we're way behind the 8 ball, but we're going to have to get out. We're going to have to be uncomfortable. We're going to have to show up at rallies. We're going to have to push back on that level. I agree. Thank you very much for the call, Amy. Let me go to Anna. Anna, welcome to 104.1 KQTH.
Hi, James T. Last time I spoke to you, I was a candidate for state representative, and I want to talk about more local, how this is being done to us locally, because an example of that is the sales tax, Proposition 101, where they don't tell us about it until the last minute. They shut down the voices of those it's going to impact the most when they don't allow people to put their information and their opinion in a voter pamphlet guide. I don't know if all of your listeners know this, but that voter pamphlet publicity guide that you get that says who's in favor and who's against, those people paid $100 to $200 per opinion every single time we have an election. They forced it into a special election. Mm-hmm. So this is a vote by mail ballot only. So now you got to worry about, did you even know there was an election? Did you get your ballot in the mail? These are controlled. And if you don't have your opinion in that and you don't know what I just told you, you think it's great because everyone else says you're in favor for it and no one says they're against it. Well, how can you say you're against it if you don't have money to even put your opinion in there?
And when you talk about the money here locally, you're talking about the machine that's built around it. You're talking about people who are trying to do their civic duty, jumping in and realizing that they are not only facing a monolith, but this monolith has well-oiled money men all over the place that are in place to block people who want to bring about change, who block people who want to shake up to get rid of corruption, graft, to get rid of all of the cronyism that's going on. They have it in place to make sure that you are outspent, that you really don't get a voice, that your stuff gets there late, if at all. You're correct.
Exactly. The Republican Party put out a statement to the newspaper 2 months ago. They held it until now. Then what they do with your message is they parse it. They do it with our sheriff. They do it with our leadership. They do it with the conservative voice every single time. They put in a journalistic view. I want your listeners to hear this. You have got to watch how you read things. They'll put in a journalistic view, and then they'll put in a partial quote, and they're framing the argument. Sometimes they even take it and they intersperse it with another person's opinion. And then it sounds like you're even having a conversation at the same time with that person and agreeing with them, which is so not true.
Well, the thing that's happening here in Tucson is different than a lot of places. Well, maybe not. Is that the people who run the place also have most of the reporters in the establishment media in place. So you're talking about running against a machine, and it's not just going out in the street to protest nationally. But as you're pointing out, Anna, there is a lot that can be done, and it has to be done. It has to start local. Thank you very much for the call. Let me go to Robert. Robert, welcome to 104.1 KQTH.
Hey, JC. How you doing?
Fantastic.
The thing that gets me is the way the left media carries on the way they do and gets after Bill and hammers him and causes him to lose his job with all this other stuff they clean up. What about that idiot Bill Maher over on the left end? I can't stand that guy.
You don't even have to go to Bill Maher. You can go over to David Letterman. David Letterman was accused and found guilty. I mean, not found guilty. He admitted to everything that Bill O'Reilly is being accused of. He admitted to it, went on his TV show and acknowledged it, and was able to say his goodbyes, was able to keep his job, was no pushback from the left, no words from the feminists, nothing. And yet, they were able to successfully run off Bill O'Reilly, not because of anything Bill O'Reilly did necessarily, Robert, but because of who is now leading, who is now controlling, owning Fox News. And that's the Murdoch boys, who are progressive, who are liberal, who don't care about the bottom line. They don't care about the money that Fox News is bringing in. They care more about the ideology, about the ideas, and that does not bode well for conservatives or what little conservatism is left at Fox News. A few more calls on the other side. You're listening to 104.1 KQTH.
I wanna see you out that door, baby. Bye, bye, bye. Don't wanna be a fool for you.
Richard, we got a good friend Richard from New York City on the line. We're talking about, we did play half of Sean Hannity's TV show, his monologue last night, and basically he's taking the gloves off. He's been attacked for years. The latest one, they want a scalp, they got O'Reilly's scalp. He's out, and now they're going after Sean Hannity, but they're also going after conservatives. They're going after free speech. We are seeing a role here, an effort, a concerted effort, an orchestrated effort to silence conservative voices in media. Richard from New York City, welcome to 104.1 KQTH. Did I hit the button? Richard, welcome to 104.1 KQTH.
How you doing, my brother?
Fantastic.
Listen, if anybody don't see what's going on, it's like you said, orchestrated assassination of the conservative movement. Okay? This is coming from the Democratic Party and the liberals. They know what they're doing. This is part of their plan. They want to get rid of the conservative movement. Sean Hannity, every liberal, every conservatives out there that be talking positive about Donald Trump, they're going after them. They could be coming after you sooner or later. We don't know. The problem is, if you remember, the President of the United States always has something against Sean Hannity. He always blames Sean Hannity for Hillary Clinton's demise, to start with. So you already know the Democrat Party has their hands all over this.
Well, I would say it was even bigger, Richard. I don't doubt the Democrat Party is all in. I think that the media is the transition. They're the seat of power now. The media is the party. The media is calling the shots. The media is driving the angst. The media, the Democrat Party doesn't have the power to do that, but working in concert with the media, who I think is the big player, they are the enemy of the American people. They used to be the watchdog, but now they are the problem. They are that an incredible force that has aligned to destroy President Trump.
Whatever happened to the 22 rapists that Trump raped during his campaign? What happened to those women?
Yes.
You see how quick they disappeared? They don't even probably exist no more.
You're right about that, and it's the same thing. But I think if O'Reilly would have had backing by his by management, he'd still be there. He could have weathered the storm. But part of the problem is even within the Fox organization, now that Rupert Murdoch is gone, who was no conservative, but he was all about that money. Now that you have an ideologue who doesn't care about the money, all of these people are very, very vulnerable. Richard, thank you very much for the call. Let me go to Eric D. Eric, welcome to 104.1 KQTH.
Hey, how you doing, man?
Fantastic.
Hey, so I'm a Democrat.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that it is getting a little disgusting. It's being they've always been snarky, but now I think they're frustrated and they're just kind of weaponizing their power, which they have a lot of power. I would call it the Democratic media.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And, I was disgusted how the right was attacking Obama and Michelle and Hillary. I mean, it's a blood sport. I just don't want to see it be that anymore.
Well, it's a blood sport, but when you say the right, I don't think you saw what was considered mainstream media, or we could really only talk about Fox if we're talking about television, attacking President President Obama personally. He attacked his policies.
It was it wasn't personal. It was more of it's biased. All the media I see is very biased.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I watch both. I watch Fox and MSNBC. You got the answer somewhere in between. Fox is the most powerful cable news station in America. I mean, I don't like saying the media because they're the most powerful. I mean,
they are. I mean, they are number one. Well, they're slipping.
I don't feel sorry for the right because the mainstream media, everyone says that as an excuse. Fox is the
but wait. But see, Fox is the only one. You can only say Fox. You can't. What else beside Fox? I mean, if you're talking about the mainstream media left, I could say CBS, NBC, ABC, MSNBC, CNN.
They have the power, but let Murdoch buy Comcast, and then he owns NBC. He owns MSNBC. It's capitalism.
No. See, that's not the point. See, it's no longer capitalism with Murdoch anymore because the Murdoch boys are in, and they even said they don't care about the bottom line. They care about the ideology. And right now, Fox and they're conservative. The only conservative news network out there is an embarrassment to the man that is running Murdoch's empire right now. That is the problem, Eric D. It's not about capitalism. If it were, then you know what? You wouldn't have half of the news outlets that you do have because they're all being subsidized by the government.
Ooh.
And I gotta leave you with that, my friend. Thank you very much for the call. Yeah. Zing! Zing! Coming up next, we're going to wade into this judge blocking Trump's order. I got a word out, the bat signal out to the sensei. We'll probably have him in the 5 o'clock hour to have him weigh in on this as well. But this is more examples of the left trying to block President Trump at every single turn. You're listening to 104.1 KQTH.
Comes the night when you're blinded by the light, you can't see it.